Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're diving into Buffer today.
Buffer.
Not just as like a tool,
Right.
but like the whole company, the ethos, like how did they build this really different thing?
Yeah. They
So much to learn from them.
yeah, it's really interesting how they've approached things. I mean, like you said, not just the product itself, but
Right.
the company culture,
Mm-hmm.
the way they present themselves.
Yeah, and people are really curious about it, right? Like how did they pull this off?
Yeah, what's the secret sauce, right?
Exactly. So let's rewind. Okay. Back to 2010.
Okay.
When they're getting started. Social media is blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows you got to be on it if you're a business.
Right.
But managing it all, different platforms,
Oh, forget about it.
was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. Especially if you were a small business, entrepreneur, solopreneur.
Oh, totally.
You've got Facebook's sort of been around a couple of years.
Yeah.
Twitter's getting going. LinkedIn's starting to become a thing.
Right. And each one's like a whole other strategy.
You got to think about it totally differently.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was a huge pain point.
And that's where Buffer says, hold my beer.
Yeah.
What if you could manage it all from one place?
Oh my God.
Schedule it out.
Revolutionary.
Track how you're doing. Even engage with people all in one place.
And it wasn't just that, right?
Yeah.
It's also how it was delivered.
Right.
I mean, this is pre-success really taking off.
Exactly.
Software as a service. Like the idea that everything's in the cloud, you don't have to install this clunky thing. It's like
Right.
log in anywhere.
Any device. It just works.
It just works.
Which for busy people,
Huge.
game changer.
Game changer. Yeah.
And they were so smart about how they launched. They didn't try to do too much at once.
Right.
Remember, it was that basic scheduling tool.
It was very, very simple.
I don't even think it had analytics at first.
No. And that's the thing that I think is so brilliant and where a lot of companies get it wrong, right?
Yeah.
They fall in love with their idea of what it could be,
All the features.
all the bells and whistles, and they never stop to ask.
Does anybody even want this?
Yeah. Does it solve a problem?
Yeah.
So Buffer just put out a very, very simple thing.
See what people actually use.
Get that
Yeah.
feedback
Yeah.
and then iterate.
Yeah, don't boil the ocean, right?
Exactly.
Start small. But here's where I think it gets really interesting is this whole radical transparency thing.
Okay. Like they really put their money where their mouth was. Salaries, revenue numbers, their growth strategies, all out in the open.
Yeah, most companies guard that like it's, top secret information.
Right. It's like they were saying, hey, we're not hiding anything.
Yeah, and people responded to it, like they really loved it. It felt authentic and real. Like this wasn't some big
Right.
faceless corporation. They were like a bunch of people trying to do something cool and they were letting you in on it.
Yeah. You felt like you were part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just like giving them money.
Right. And it did a couple things, right? One, it definitely helped with like the PR,
Oh, for sure.
but it also think about the kind of people it attracted.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. The people who were drawn to that, that's your tribe. Those are the people who are going to fit in with that culture.
It's like a self-filtering mechanism almost.
Totally. Like if you're not down with that, you're probably not going to want to work there.
Right, which is fine.
And that's okay.
No, exactly. It's better to know that up front.
Totally.
So we've got a great product. We've got this radical transparency. What's the third thing in the Buffer playbook?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They really nailed this word of mouth thing.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of spending $1 zillion on advertising, they thought, how do we make something so good?
People tell their friends.
Yeah. It's the best marketing.
It's the best because you trust your friends.
Exactly.
Think about it. How many times have you
Oh, my gosh. All the time.
tried something new because somebody's like, oh, you got to check this out.
Right. It's way more powerful than
Some banner ad.
Exactly.
So smart. Okay, but they're human, right?
Oh, yeah.
They've made mistakes along the way. Everybody does.
Absolutely. Nobody's perfect.
And sometimes you learn more from the screw-ups than the wins,
Yes,
right?
no, 100%. Sometimes it's like, that's the real gold.
Totally. So let's talk about some of the pitfalls. What are some things that, even if we love what Buffer's doing, we should watch out for?
Well, we touched on it before, but this whole launch without testing thing, that is
Easy to get wrong.
so easy to get wrong because you fall in love with your idea and you think it's the best thing ever.
You're so excited to share it with the world.
Right. But if you haven't actually checked to see if it solves a real problem,
Yeah.
you're going to be in trouble.
Get that feedback early.
Yes.
Yeah, pivot if you need to.
Exactly. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to change course.
Right. Be agile.
Okay. And then the other thing is, it's not just about the product.
Right.
It's about the company, the culture. Like Buffer's transparency, their focus on the user, that's got to be real.
It can't just be like a marketing tactic.
It can't be a gimmick.
Yeah.
And people can sniff that out
Oh, yeah, they can tell,
a mile away.
especially these days, right? People are savvy.
Right.
They want authenticity.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot to think about.
It's a lot.
I love hearing about Buffer because they're doing things differently.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
But how do we actually put this into practice?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right. What are some takeaways for our listener?
Number one, become obsessed with your user.
Yes.
Like-
Whoever that is, your customer, your audience, whoever you're serving.
Yeah. Put yourself in their shoes. Figure out what are their pain points. What are they struggling with?
What are they trying to achieve, right? What are their goals?
Yeah. And it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about them.
It's about solving their problems.
Not about how smart you are.
Exactly.
Love it. Okay, what else?
That transparency thing. We got to talk about that.
It's hard, though,
Yeah,
because you got to be vulnerable.
you got to be willing to say, hey, we don't have all the answers.
We messed up.
We made some mistakes. Here's what we learned.
People respect that, though,
They do.
more than just like some slick presentation.
Oh, yeah. Way more. Authenticity, that's what people crave.
Okay, so be obsessed with your user. Be transparent. What's the third takeaway?
Make something worth talking about.
Yes.
Like if you create something truly amazing, people will shout it from the rooftop.
Exactly. You won't be able to stop them.
You've earned that.
You've earned it. Exactly.
Love it. This has been so insightful.
Buffer's amazing.
They're doing things their own way.
And it's working.
And it's working. It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
So much to learn from them.
Absolutely. It's not magic. It's just being deliberate.
Yeah, making those choices. All right, well, that wraps up our deep dive into Buffer. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.